Hi everyone, thank you for coming to my workshop today. We may talk about opioids and opioid addiction, talking about signs of opioid addiction and also how to overcome it as well. And for today, I wanted to start off by talking about a story. This is from a lady named Brenda. Her story can be seen on the CDC's website. And there they have many stories of people that have either overcome opioid addiction themselves or even loved ones that have seen family members go through it as well. So for her story, for Brenda's, she mentions that how it all kind of started when she was in a car crash. So after this time, as you can imagine, she had intense pain and she had to go to doctors to overcome it and to feel better. And the doctors prescribed her some prescription drugs that were opioids. And she mentioned that during this time, she never really thought that she would become addicted to opioids, that they were from the doctor, and she didn't even hear any side effects of them or any of the dangers of opioids either. She's never really heard them before that time. And she mentions how that she would take them, and one day she actually had a double dosage than she was prescribed. And this was the point that every day after that she kept having higher dosage than what her prescriptions prescribed her to have. And she mentioned at this point, after a while, she realized that she was addicted to opioids, and she kept having more and more prescriptions made. However, she knew that she was addicted. And she mentioned that the turning point for her really was when family members helped. And it was these close family members that really helped her overcome her addiction. She got help, and she has been in recovery now for 2 years. So it's excellent that she's been able to overcome it. But she describes how this can be very painful in her life. And she mentioned at this turning point that there was she says this, that part of me wanted to keep using, but more of me wanted to stop. So we could see that she had this desire to stop using opioids, and she had this willpower, and thankfully she's been able to get the help that she needs. And throughout this workshop today, I actually made a worksheet to go along with it. So there's actually 2 ways that you can look at this worksheet. Easy way is just this QR code. If you just scan it, it could link you to it. There's actually a fun word search that has some key terms that I use in this worksheet, or in this workshop. And then there's also just a couple of questions as well that we're going to go over. So feel free to even just pause this video right now. You can even just look over it and just kind of browse what it kind of talks about. And there's also on the next page, there's a key if you need help finding the words. But yeah, feel free to pause this video, and I'm just going to keep going here. But on this next part, I wanted to talk about alternative options for specifically long-term pain. So in Brenda's story, she mentioned how that she was in intense pain, and sometimes opioids are unfortunately the only option for some circumstances that would help people with chronic and intense pain. However, it's nice to know that there are some other options just out there, so you can use this with prescription medication, or even some people use it instead of opioids. So this is other options here. So this video will go over. Perfect. And as we can see with these options, there's not going to be one answer that's perfect for everyone, but for someone that they can explore options that might actually work better than others. So just knowing there are other options out there can help a lot of people, especially with dealing long-term pain. And also wanted to talk today about a little bit about the overdoses of opioids and how they have become higher. There have been higher cases in the last decade or so. And unfortunately, up here in this top statistic, we can see, and this is just the United States here, but there has been 1.6 million people that have been diagnosed with opioid addiction. So these people that have opioid addiction right now have been diagnosed with it. So unfortunately, we can see that this is a higher number, and it is sad to see that this has increased dramatically in the past, decade. But it just shows how important it is, really, that knowing the dangers of opioids really are for our nation. And down here, I put some statistics for Ohio, since it is one of the highest states that have opioid addiction. So as we see here on this bottom statistic, it says there are 185 overdosing deaths every day in Ohio. And this is a rough amount, but it is pretty sad to see that there are that many in Ohio alone that come from overdosing from prescription drugs. And I just think back to Brenda's story and how she mentioned that she never really thought that she'd be addicted. It wasn't anything that really crossed her mind until she had higher dosages on a daily basis. And I feel that a lot of times people aren't warned of the side effects, and it is an easy trap to go into if people aren't warned of it ahead of time. I also wanted to talk today about signs of opioid addiction. So for this one, it is important to be aware of those around us, close loved ones, and of course, not one of these signs alone will indicate if someone's addicted to opioids, but just kind of seeing the red flags that could lead to opioid addiction. It's always good to be mindful. So here I have a list of it, but it's slurred speech, nausea, small pupils, shallow breathing. So all of these kind of can lead up to signs of people having opioid addiction. But once again, just kind of being open-minded and aware of those around us can help people feel supported and helped, especially if they don't know too much about opioids and their effects of them. And thank you so much for joining my workshop today and going over some signs of opioid use and even some warnings of using them as well. Thank you.